Okay, we're here to film at the Thomas Vaughan kitchen. It's an amazing accessible kitchen. It's in Cardiff, and it's got some great facilities so that we can show you how to get back to cooking in the kitchen with a disability or condition.
Often, when a person is experiencing chronic illness or disability, one of the key focuses of occupational therapy is eating and drinking with independence.
It's a key indicator of both physical and cognitive ability.
Once you can eat and drink independently, a whole range of benefits are unlocked.
Eating and drinking are described as one of the 12 acts of daily living. As professionals, we want to help our clients to move as close to independence in this area as we can.
The significance of these kitchen-based tasks is further highlighted by the prominence of feeding in the Barthel Index. This globally accepted numerical method of assessing an individual's level of independence in key tasks of daily living places feeding first in the assessment process.
With this in mind, we are particularly passionate about supporting people in the kitchen to enable them to cook, eat, serve and enjoy preparing food. And that's why we've made this video, to show you how you can help your clients to do the same. A social media post from All-in-One Occupational Therapy Hub sums up beautifully the work behind developing independence in the kitchen and the importance of our focus on this as professionals.
The good old OT question, can they make a cup of tea? Well, this cup of tea isn't just any cup of tea. It took 12 months to make. Following a serious road traffic accident and extensive spinal surgery, our client could not walk or feed themselves. 12 months on, and with sheer determination, not only can this individual now hold her own cup of tea, but she also made it in her own favourite bone china cup. No other cup of tea has ever tasted as good as this one, and we're so privileged to be a part of her journey. Making a cup of tea or preparing a sandwich can feel like a small task to some. But to a professional working with a client with disability, these tasks hold a much deeper significance. Working towards independence in these tasks also hold many profound benefits.
Taking part in these routines of the day and having autonomy around what and when to eat gives greater significance and purpose to the individual.
If a person has their disability since birth, becoming more independent in the kitchen can be a key step towards adult independence. If they're working with an acquired disability, returning to the kitchen, often after a long period of time in hospital where they have little autonomy over their diet, can be a really meaningful step.
Skills in preparing and cooking food can give individuals a greater access to improved nutrition. Cooking from fresh rather than relying on pre-prepared meals gives you much more of a say over your diet, and we are well aware of the importance of nutrition in overall health and well-being.
Food and drink are a huge part of socialising. We know that those who are more confident in their independence around eating and drinking are able to access a far wider range of social situations. They're less isolated by their disability and more able to connect with friends and family and other social groups. And we know that this positively impacts emotional well-being and quality of life immeasurably.
Finally, we know that food and drink have cultural significance for many people, whether it's offering a friend a cup of tea or making a snack for a guest. Skills in the kitchen really help preserve an individual's unique identity.
So let's get looking at the tools we have to support your clients, who they're best for and how you can use them well. Before you work on cooking with independence, the first step for many is eating and drinking confidently, and we've got a wide range of tools to help you. So let's have a look at what we've got.
This is our long bendable cutlery, As you can see, you can wind it around your hand. It's one of the only things that we've got that's actually really great if you've got zero hand function at all. As you can see, I'm not actually gripping this at all, but it's completely in the right position for me to be able to access eating.
We've got two options for clients with tremors or involuntary movements. The spoon guard fits onto your existing cutlery and it just gives a little edge to hold on to the liquid as it travels from bowl to mouth. And then the sup spoon is a little bit deeper, so it's got a cavity inside the cutlery, so once you scoop and you tip up, everything that you've scooped is safely inside the spoon until it reaches your mouth.
This cutlery is brilliant because these loops can be bent into any shape to fit your hand perfectly. I also find this is the only cutlery that I can actually push down, because this part pushes into the part of your hand here. You can down and cut at the same time, even if you don't have any hand function. And these can be sculptured to fit your hand just how you need it. We also have a number of products to help you if you've got one-sided weakness or a limb difference. Obviously that's a bit harder for me to explain because I've got two hands, even though they don't work very well. But these products will really help you if that's your situation. These plates have a very rubberized bottom so that when they're on the surface they're not going to move around. So if you need to use just one hand to be able to cut and push against the edge of the plate, you can see these plates have a high edge. This is also an example of a nork, which has got a cutting edge on one side, so you can use it as both your fork and your knife at the same time. So you would just use that to cut your food, push it against the edge of the plate, and then you can eat it very easily with one-handed or one-sided weakness. So I've just borrowed Xanthi here to demonstrate our cutlery grips. They come in a child and an adult size. You just push your normal cutlery into them, and they add a little bit of size, a bit of grip, and they're also a little bit weighted if that's useful for you as well. So these are our cutlery grips, just slide your normal cutlery into them.
To best support your work with clients, we now offer a cutlery assessment pack. This contains one of each of our most popular cutlery options, so you can try them out with your clients and they can feel confident that they're buying the best option for them. Active Hands carries a range of solutions for drinking to help support people with a range of disabilities. If you have somebody who is struggling a little bit with coordination, our cup caps are a great starting point. They come in a range of sizes and they fit over your existing cups and mugs. They have a hole for a straw and they are completely spill-proof.
Another option for people with reduced function is that if you're struggling to pick up the cup, you can have this two-handed mug. This comes with a recessed lid, which has also got a straw hole in it. And it's great if you're struggling to pick up your drink and get it to your mouth easily.
I really like how that one looks like a real mug.
It does,
Lots of nice colours and designs.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel so much like a disability aid, does it?
Yeah.
On a similar front, we have the hand steady mug. This one is perfect for people who are struggling with tremors or involuntary movements because however you move, the handle will rotate, which keeps your mug upright. Once you get to your mouth, you can either use your other hand to tip or your lip. It has another recessed lid like the two-handled mug, which can you move if you don't need, but if you've got quite strong tremors, it's going to keep you safe from the hot liquids.
So another great one that we have is our giraffe bottle. So this comes in two different types, the stainless steel one, which will keep drinks cool or hot for about an hour or two, and also there's a clear Triton one. So it has a very long neck and this comes in various different sizes. This is a great one for if you're really struggling to get your liquids in. So this can be attached to a wheelchair. This is the desktop clamp, which is really heavy to keep it in position, but there's also a clamp which will attach to your either manual or your power wheelchair. So for example, you could have it right behind you, you could have the straw coming right around, and if you've got very minimal movement, you could just turn your head to get your drink. Wherever you position this straw, it will stay there, so you can have this right next to your face, or you could push it out the way very easily. So that's a great one for people who have really got limited movement but still need to keep hydrated.
Once you've managed to make your food or drink, transporting it around the home can pose some risks. For those who are unsteady on their feet or using a walker, there's a danger of spills or burns if you're using hot liquids. For wheelchair users, carrying things near their or on their lap can also carry those risks of spills and burns, and going over door thresholds can really ramp up that danger. So we've got a few things to support you. This is the Spill Not, and we also have the Spill Not Plus for carrying your snack plates. As long as it's allowed to move freely, then your hot drink is completely safe. You're safe from spills and safe from burns. If you're struggling to hold the handle, there's no need to hold around the body of the mug, which can be very hot. You can take your drink safely around the home. Similarly, carrying heavy plates can be really tricky with weaker wrists, and the Spill Not Plus will mean that you can get those cakes to the sofa and enjoy your evening.
Pain and fatigue can massively impact how someone functions in the kitchen. Having the right resources to hand can lighten the load and make the process much more manageable. Ian talked to us about his experience of living with FND.
Hi, I'm Ian. I'm known as Mr. Cookfulness. I am an accessibility cooking coach, and I also work on research, helping people with chronic illnesses to get into research to help out the future and hopefully make some change. So my disabilities and chronic conditions were diagnosed over a number of years. So it started off with fibromyalgia, and that sort of seemed to make sense, but then it didn't make sense. And then arthritis, which sort of made sense, and it didn't make sense. But then the functional neurological disorder known as FND, that's what then made sense, because it was basically my whole right side is weak. I have a tremor in my right hand, and sometimes vision and speech goes as well. So how it affects me is it's very different day to day. So how I am today is not maybe how I am tomorrow. But basically I use a stick to walk around because, say, my right side is quite weak, and being right-handed, it's an interesting one, particularly if you're doing cooking demos with a tremor. I've many times thrown vanilla essence all over the place as I'm trying to do it. So I try and make light of it now. But it basically slows me down and makes me think more about what I'm doing. When I was first diagnosed, it was really difficult because I also had really chronic fatigue as well, and I think that was due to not being active, because I tended to withdraw, thinking that was the best way to protect myself. More pain, don't move, which is actually, unfortunately, you realise that's the sort of the wrong way around. But with things like cooking, I found it very, very difficult to comprehend from a physical and a mental perspective. So there was the physical actually doing. I couldn't hold knives as how I used to, wasn't able to carry things around the kitchen as I used to. But also from a mental perspective, I found that cooking was creeping up on me way before I got near the kitchen, with anxiety and with thoughts of, this is not going to work, it's going to be a disaster, you're going to hurt yourself, what are you doing this for, you need to sit down. So those two things were sort of jumbling together, and that was pretty much what was happening across life. It was, I knew I needed to do something, but I was telling myself that that wasn't the right thing to do as well. I was on a 4-week residential programme at the Bath Centre for Pain Services, and one of the tasks I had was to walk to a supermarket, which filled me with fear and dread. Then I just started looking at these recipe cards thinking, cooking, that's a thought. So I started talking to the OTs about it, about what do you think cooking? They said, yeah, give it a go. Why not? They asked me a question, what do you want? And I was like, wow, that's a big question. And I was like, oh, well. And they said, no, realistically, what do you want? I said, I just really want to be part of the family again. And they said, well, here you go, try it. I think cooking has given me a confidence that I thought I had lost. As I said earlier, I was shrinking away from things, and my socially disappearing, and confidence was disappearing. So it gave me a confidence and a bit of pride that I'd lost. So now to be able to go out and talk to people in all different walks of life, to learn about what's happening, it's just like everything's flipped, and I'm genuinely happier now than I was before I was ill, which is a strange thing to say, but it's because I have a very different outlook on life, from a family perspective, from a personal perspective, but also an appreciation perspective. It's just made me a much, I think, more resilient and more social person. The biggest thing is, don't be afraid of it going wrong. I, for a long time, was really frustrated with things that were going wrong, and there's so many things. It could be a barrier, I can't cook this, I can't chop that, or just your head saying it's not going to happen. And I think then it's a case of not wanting to get too far ahead too soon, You know, cooking healthily is fantastic. We all know a healthy diet is a great thing, but if you can't get the cooking bit, you're never going to get to that bit. So just enjoy the process of cooking first. Enjoy the mistakes, enjoy the fun of it, make a mess, do whatever you can, and don't worry about that. Just enjoy every step of it and celebrate every bit you've done. The good bits, the bad bits, just celebrate the lot. You know, like you've won the World Cup, which we've got no chance of ever doing. But just honestly, it's the best thing to do. Is just remind yourself about how amazingly you're doing, and then the cooking will take care of itself. Hi, today we're going to be making a really beautiful versatile bolognese with a little bit of a twist. It's a great dish for any occasion, and we're going to showcase some great pieces of kitchen equipment and gadgets that we can use all the way through.
So to see palm peeler, Ian.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I have to say, the palm peeler and the palm zester have just changed my life. They're just so good. They're actually, I think, better than mainstream peelers for how much they take off so quickly and so easily. So basically all you do is just chop it into halves. I'm going to just do that because they're quite small, and then just chop them. We don't want anything that's too ordered.
No.
We don't want it to look all neat and tidy. That's what you're out for. So.
And how do those right angled knives help you?
They're great. They're so good. Yeah. And for things like this as well, which are quite small, where you've got to get your hands quite close to the blade, it just feels so much safer. Yeah. It feels so much more comfortable. And from a sort of mental perspective as well, you're not going in with fear and trepidation, which is what I used to do all the time. So yeah, they're great. And I say my kids use these all the time. They're great.
The chunkier handle and the position of your wrist makes it a lot more comfortable.
Absolutely. So whenever I'm doing cooking demos, these get more attention than I do. So, but yeah, there we go.
Amazing,
little mini dice.
Perfect.
And then we're ready to go over there and do some cooking.
Let's do it.
And while that's doing, I'm going to open up the beef using the wonderful nimble. It's so good. Look at that. And there it is. Again, with scissors with hand function it's sort of hard anyway, but these things are really difficult at the best of times, so I think that's fantastic. Now, tins.
Yes.
Tins of tomatoes, great things to have in there, but really awkward things to open. So I know you know both of these.
Yes.
This one's great, but sometimes I really need the one-hander, and obviously if it's got a ring pull, you just turn it the other way. But I'm going to go with my little trusty golf club to start with, and hopefully I'll get it to work. Yeah. Ooh, missed. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, and it just makes opening cans is really painful at times. Just trying to get away. Well, I'm just going to let this cook.
So have you got any advice for people who are just getting back into the kitchen or feeling a bit nervous about getting into the kitchen?
Yeah.
What would be your number one tip?
Take your time. And just don't think you need to be brilliant straight away. Or at all. You know, often you think you see the cooks on TV and you think, oh, I wish I could do that. But actually, just be you. And don't worry about it. And don't worry about what it looks like. In fact, don't worry about what it tastes like to start with. Just enjoy the process of doing it. So, right, that will now sit there for about 20 minutes.
Perfect.
And then it'll be done.
Simmering away.
It'll be ready.
Many different disabilities and conditions can impact finger strength and finger dexterity. In this section, we'll look at a range of products that support people with spinal cord injury, brain injuries, stroke survivors, and many more conditions.
So to tell you a little bit about my condition, I had a spinal cord injury many years ago. It's a high level, it's a neck injury. So as well as affecting my lower body, it's also affected my hand function quite severely. So I don't have much movement at all and very little strength. So we have a range of products. Some are more suitable to me, some are more suitable for people with other conditions that affect their hand function. So we're just going to go through now and cook an omelette and show you how some of the products that we use will be helpful for my condition. So we're going to start with getting some eggs into the bowl. Now, cracking eggs is going to be a really difficult job for people with reduced hand function. So let's see if we can get some products that overcome that. Actually, the first one is I can't even get these eggs out of here. I haven't got the grip to pick them up, so here's a useful little hack for getting over that. Turn your box upside down, open the eggs that way, lick your fingers a little bit, and then you can get them out much more easily. So when you put it in the egg cracker, put it in horizontally, I suppose you'd call that, rather than lengthways, and then a nice positive squeeze. There we go. We had a little bit go out on the table there, but that one's
Making
done.
mess is all part of the fun.
Yep. And then that can go into there. Pop that out. Then we're on to our second egg. A bit easier to get hold of now. As you can see, my hand function is really poor, so just picking up anything is quite difficult. So again, a nice positive squeeze. There we go. It's all gone in. Put that out of the way for now. Now, Millie, do you want to help me with some milk?
Yeah, so this is the cap off. This is really great if you've just got a little bit of weakness in your hand, so like arthritis. It just goes onto the top of a bottle and you can twist, and it gives you a stronger lever to get that off. There we go.
Okay. Do you want to put some milk
in the bowl?
Yep.
There we go.
Okay, and this is our push whisk, so no hand function required. Just put your hand on the top, push it down gently, and that's going to whisk your eggs and milk up.
To make our omelette into a complete meal, we're going to add some veggies as a really healthy option.
So I'm going to start with the sweet corn. So this is quite a tricky one to open, so I'm going to use our hold fast device. So it's a vacuum platform, so it sucks down both to the table and to the item that you're trying to hold, which would be really tricky for me otherwise. So you just switch it on with a switch. You can hear the tone slightly change, that means it's stuck down, it's really secure on there. Now I'm going to use this to just open our can. Again, look, I don't need to support the can at all, so if you've got one-handed use or you're struggling, you don't even need to hold onto the can with the other hand. Now I'm going to turn this round, pull that up, and then turn that off, and you can...
I'll get that out of the way for us.
Okay. And now we're going to add some courgette as well. So I'll turn over the spikes on our chopping board. Place that down there. I'm going to use our right-angled knife, which is much easier to use, but I still need a bit of assistance to hold that knife, so I'm going to use a general purpose gripping aid. You could also use our light aid here to help you hold the right-angled knife if you needed it. Just going to tuck that through there. And then I'll put the knife in my hand and fasten it up a bit more. Now I've got a nice firm hold, I can then chop our courgette. So if you're doing this one-handed, or you need a bit of assistance because both hands don't work, you know that you've got the support for the thing that you're chopping with the spikes, and you can just use one-handed chopping to get your chunks ready. You can then cut a bit more.
Another option, if you're not as confident with knives, is these kitchen shears. They've got a little safety latch here, which once goes off, they're spring loaded, so they're great if you've got weaker grip, and you can just chop through your vegetables. These are really great because you can use them with tougher items as well, like raw carrot or even chicken bones.
Right, so now it's time to fry up our omelette. So luckily, at Thomas Vaughan Kitchen here, I can actually lower the height of all this cooking equipment, which makes it much more useful. It's a little bit too high for my legs at the moment. There we go, that's perfect. So I'm going to start by putting some butter into our pan. And now I'm going to put our veggies in. So that's frying away nicely now. We're using the pan buddy, which will just slot onto the handle of any pan. You can screw it down with this, and then this also helps you to hold it if you've got weak wrists or weak hand function. So all you need to do, this will support your forearm and wrist. Put your hand in and you can pick it up very easily, and I haven't got any grip on that at all. If you still needed a bit more help, you could use our general purpose or light aid to hold onto this bit as well. But for me, with even very reduced hand function, this works perfectly easily just to pick it up whenever I need to. Okay, time to put the eggs in. So that's all in there. And now I'm going to put this small item aid on. if I was going to be cooking like this without doing this demo, I might potentially use just the spatula by just holding it in two hands. But you can see with our small item aid here, you can actually hold anything and you can position it however you want with this Velcro pad, and then anything can go in this small clamp here. So it's showing, particularly if you need to use two hands, one to hold the pan and one to stir whatever you're doing. This is going to be the perfect way to do it. It's all personal preference depending what your condition and what's affected and what's going to make it most useful for you cooking wise.
So, my disability came about when I was involved in a road traffic accident in 2005. I was driving back from university, I was 22 years old, and I ended up breaking my neck at a C5 level. I do, however, present as a C6 due to it being a somewhat incomplete injury. What this basically means is that I am completely paralysed from the chest down. I have some sensory feeling, but nothing motor. My arms and hands are affected in varying degrees. My biceps are totally fine, but my triceps are very weak, and my fingers are, other than, the tiniest kind of flicker of movement, they are almost entirely paralysed, so I can't grip anything. I struggle to pick things up, to hold anything that I need to in various aspects of life, writing, cooking, on the computers, all sorts of things. Newly injured person, I found various kind of angles around eating and cooking to be a bit of a nightmare. Holding any kind of cutlery, gripping cutlery, that was just almost impossible. Equally with when you're picking up drinks and things, you're worried about dropping them and smashing them with the glass. You're going to spill water on the floor and juice and beer, a nightmare. So it was all a learning curve, a very frustrating learning curve. In terms of cooking, that was just, I didn't even see a possibility where I could operate a kitchen like normally. So it seemed like a lot of effort to be able to do even the smallest thing, like even just to be able to cut through your own food, or to just be able to slice something in terms of food preparation. It just seemed so monumentally difficult. You would think, just thought, well, why aren't there more options out there, more possibilities out there for people, like aids out there for people in my condition to help. Initially, I did look for ways around these problems. I did find some that worked at the time. I used to wear weightlifting gloves, just like ones you'd get from the sports shop to push around in. And I found that if I pushed my knife and fork inside the index fingers of these fingerless gloves, then they kind of held them in place, and I could cut food and put pressure through the fork in order to pick things up. So that was something that I worked out how to do in the spinal unit, and that did me while I was there. It helped. So there were ways around things, but they were quite difficult still. They presented their own problems. I don't think there's really any way I found around the cooking elements other than getting someone else to do it for me, really. I've definitely found better ways to cope in the last 20 years. I think there are far more options out there for people now who have limited hand function, who struggle with aspects of cooking and eating. There are so many more products available, so many more aids available to help with pretty much every aspect of cooking, that there really isn't a reason not to get involved and to start cooking and start doing things to yourself. The drawers in my kitchen is covered full of various aids that I have to get out every time I need to do cooking, and it makes cooking and preparing and eating food just like so much easier. I think my current favourite kitchen aid is the egg cracker, and that's the newest one I've got actually. It's just I have scrambled eggs every morning for breakfast. So, and previously I was holding the eggs and I was hitting them on the side of the jug. That you can't really hold them in your hand that well. That the whole thing's going to split open and the egg's going to fall out. The inside of me dripping down the side of the bowl. Half the shell would still be in the bowl. It was taking me longer to crack the eggs into the bowl than it was to scramble them and eat them. This egg cracker though, honestly, life-changing. Independence in any aspect of life after a spinal cord injury is a great thing. So to be able to have that independence in the kitchen and to be able to be in control of what you're cooking, what you're eating, it does feel liberating, especially after you've had, you know, however many months or years of having to get people to prepare meals for you, of having to get help with cutting up your food, with feeding yourself, making drinks and things like that. To be able to do that kind of stuff yourself, it really does, it feels rewarding. And I think that being in control of what goes into your body, your own nutrition, and not relying on maybe meals from other people, takeaways and things, it means that you can decide what you want to eat, when you want to eat it, kind of thing. It improves your confidence, you feel better about yourself, you feel, like I said, rewarded by you've prepared a meal that you're going to eat. It's something that's just, the food tastes better when you know that you've made it and you've put like the effort into it. If you are going out socialising with friends, the restaurants, things, the gripping aids you can get for the cutlery, it's really, they're discreet. You can slip them on, you can eat comfortably without fear of, you know, a rogue potato flying off your plate at any moment or spilling your drink across the table, that kind of thing. You can enjoy cooking with other people as well, like having friends around, having like loved ones around, cooking and eating with them. It brings me into the kitchen, so I don't feel like I'm just sat at the table, kind of, you know, on the outside waiting for the food to be brought to me. I feel like I'm involved and I'm helping. Just like, yeah, the independence that it gives you is really, it's great. My favourite food to cook it's probably curries. I love Indian food. And I think that you get out like a massive pan, a massive wok. You've got all these different kinds of ingredients you put into it. There's like really nice meat you can get. Like, I love lamb, so you prepare the lamb. You get all the spices in. It looks really rewarding when you've got like a big pot full of food bubbling away on the hob, and you can smell the aromas in the kitchen and things. And you know, you get your rice ready, you get your naan ready. I don't know. There's something about curry that's just really rewarding, and there's so many options and varieties of it. Yeah, that's definitely my favourite thing to do in the kitchen. Hacks or hints that I would recommend to somebody newly injured. I think the first one will be get yourself a lap tray, a padded lap tray that is. Don't just get yourself a normal tray. You put things on that, you wheel around, they'll wobble off straight away. Get yourself a padded one that molds to your legs, so that when you put your drinks on there, your food on there, plates and things, and you can push around pretty comfortably without food and drink, like jumping around and things. Probably the last one would be to get yourself some good steak knives. Not just because you're going to eat a lot of steak. I mean, I love steak, so you know, can't complain about that. But for any meals, like I use steak knives for cutting through anything because it makes it so much easier. When I'm at a restaurant, when I go out for food, I'll always ask, "Oh, can I switch that knife for a steak knife, please?" They'll bring a steak knife out. Because even when you've got gripping aids on, sometimes the regular knives you can get, they can be a bit of a nightmare to cut through meat, to cut through vegetables, things like that. Steak knife, it makes it so much easier to cut through things. So always, never be afraid to ask for a steak knife, and always have them handy at home. Yeah, never be afraid to have a go in the kitchen, and I think it can be really rewarding. And I mean, you know, if you're still struggling at the end of the day, just get yourself a partner who loves cooking too. Bring them in the kitchen. You tell them what to do. We'll chop it all, put it in for you, and then you've done it as well, haven't you? Come on, it's a group effort.
Some of your clients might be adapting to cooking with the use of just one hand. That might be because of limb difference, stroke or other hemiplegia.
Neither Joe or I have a limb difference. However, we have a range of products that will help people with limb difference or similar disabilities, and we'd like to show you those today.
Right, should we make some sandwiches?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to start with chopping the chicken. You want to get into the mayo?
Yep. So to open the jar of mayo, I'm using the hold fast. So I will turn it on and wait for the tone to change, and that will vacuum seal the jar into place. and make it really easy to open. Another option for opening jars is the belly clamp. This one you just need to lean against with your hip and it'll hold the jar in place and make it able to open that one.
Perfect.
There we
Right,
go.
I'll pop this in the mixing bowl
Yeah.
for you. And I'll pass that to you.
Perfect, I'll pop this onto the holdfast
There you go.
and turn it back on. And then get some mayo into the bowl. And then I don't need to hold on because it's really secure in place with the holdfast. There we go.
All right, I'll take that topping.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we do a cheese and cucumber
Let's
one?
do it.
Okay, so I'm going to use the spikes on the food prep board again to hold on to my cucumber. It's really handy for one-handed use. We love this board because I think it's another thing that we have that doesn't look like a disability
Yes,
aid
it
to have
looks
this in
really
your
lovely.
kitchen. It's
Yeah.
lovely, isn't it? And then once you've got your cucumber all chopped up, hidden underneath the spiked area are some bowls. So we've got a collection bowl that stays sat down in the bottom of it, and then we've got a few choices of different size graters and slicers that can then go over the top. So once we've got those graters in place, we can grate away our cheese for our filling, and then once we think we've got enough, we can just lift that collection bowl away and we're ready to make our sandwich.
So I'll swap to a different shaped pad on the holdfast to pop the butter on. Wait for that tone to change and open the butter up. And then if you just pass me a piece of bread, fabulous. I'll pop this onto our sandwich prep board, which makes it really easy to butter, especially one-handed. You can just push against the edges and the bread doesn't move as you're buttering.
So Millie, you've been swapping between the belly clamp and the holdfast
Yes,
in terms
yeah.
of opening things. Both seem really, really useful for users with one hand.
Yeah.
How would you suggest people go about choosing which one's suitable for them?
Okey-dokey, yeah. So obviously the belly clamp, it's a more affordable option. However, it does require you to be able to stand and lean against the belly clamp with your hip.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to consider. It's also only used more with like round jars, and not too tall jars
Ones
as
that
well.
aren't too tall.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can lean against it and open your jar like that.
But it is going to work with a variety of sizes, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because this this part moves
Yeah,
wider
so-
and narrower.
Yeah, so it'll work for like your mayo jar, also works for jam
jars
jars.
and
Yeah,
spreads.
absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
And then the difference with the belly clamp is you can obviously add on these pads. So there's heat proof ones. There's also ones for holding like a carton of milk and things like that. So it's a
Amazing.
lot more versatile.
Yeah.
It is obviously slightly more pricey, but it also looks really nice on your kitchen work side. So you
Yeah.
could keep it out and you wouldn't feel...
Then it's really instant to use
Yeah,
because you're just flicking a
absolutely.
switch and it's ready
Yeah.
to go.
Whereas this is a bit more of a bulky item.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Right, I think our sandwiches are about ready, and
Perfect.
hopefully we've managed to demonstrate a few ways in which we can overcome some of the tricky parts of having one-sided weakness
Yes.
or limb difference. Cooking with children can be a great way to spend fun time together, but alongside the mess there are also some really significant benefits. Lots of research indicates that being involved in cooking simple meals or treats can foster a really positive relationship with food, can encourage children to be more likely to try a range of foods, as well as improving their overall self-confidence. These are things we've always tried to encourage in our daughter, so she is a regular helping out in our kitchen.
Whether you're trying to cook alongside a child with a disability or you're a parent with a disability wanting to cook with your child, we have lots of gadgets to make this just much easier for you. I'm going to be using this hold fast, which is a vacuum platform, to hold this bowl down so that I know when we're pouring things in it, it's not going to go anywhere, it's really firmly held down. So Xanthi, do you want to put the sugar in?
Sugar in, good girl, reach up
No.
high, go for it,
In there?
all of it.
Yep, and I'll put all the butter in. There we go.
Let me give it a good mix. Okay,
Then give it a mix.
that's all right,
Give
it
a mix
doesn't
with the
matter.
spoon.
Perfect, right, let's get it all mixed up. Right, by the power of television, those sugar and butter are all mixed up, so we're ready for eggs next, Anthony.
Okay, so we're going to put the easy, the hold fast on again. Can you pass me an egg? Put one in there for me, please.
Way round, lie it down.
Sideways round. That's it, perfect.
Well done.
And then you can do one yourself. Show us how you do it. So just a big firm squeeze, and there we go.
Pop yours in.
In the bowl, way around.
Well done, beautiful.
Okay. So while Xanthi does not have a disability, she's demonstrating here how our Easy Hold straps can be used to help you hold things like spoons in the kitchen. They come in a range of sizes to fit lots of different items that you might want to hold on to. It just helps with your hand strength if you're struggling to hold things. And then keep mixing. So our cookies are finished and now we're going to ice them. Now icing is going to be one of those really tricky jobs if you've not got very good hand function, particularly if you've only got one-handed use, so it's a pretty impossible task to do. So this is our adapted icing pen, so it can be used with one hand or two hands if needed. And can I have a go with it now? So you can just squeeze the two sides and then you've got your icing coming out the bottom, so it's perfect that I can join in with icing our cookies. Sometimes when I'm in the kitchen, actually getting into the packets of food before we even start cooking is enough to put me off because it's so difficult. It's very fiddly when your hands don't work, so we're just going to go through a number of solutions that we've got to help you overcome that problem and get you cooking. This is the Hold Fast. It's a vacuum platform. It's one of our newest products and we absolutely love it. It's so versatile, brilliant for in the kitchen as well as other places around the home. So it works by having a little switch here and it vacuums both down to the surface and whatever you're putting on the top. There are a number of different attachments that go with it to help you with different things you might want to hold. So I'll show you, this is with a very difficult to get open jar. Once you turn it on, you can hear the tone change and it's vacuumed down, so see how firmly that is on there. So this would be a lid that I'd find it really difficult to get off. I can now easily get that off, and as you can see that's a new one. So that was really firmly on there. There's lots of different things that will go on here, lots of round shaped jars. But when you've got an unusual shaped one, such as the butter dish, which is also then quite difficult to get open, it has one for that shape as well. So turn it on, and I can just get the lid off nice and easily that way. There are some different sizes ones of these as well. You've also got a heat-proof one, so if you want to use a hot saucepan on it, if you're stirring something, then that will keep it in place so that you can stir around. You haven't got to use the other hand to hold the handle as well. It also comes with this little square contraption here where you can put a 1 litre carton in. Once that's vacuumed down, you can then use that to open your juice bottle, which can be quite a difficult one to do otherwise. Also in the pack there is this circular one which has got a small fin on the inside, and that fin locates on one of the grooves on a 500 millilitre bottle, and then using this bottle opener I can get a nice firm grip on that top there, and off it comes, nice and easy. I'm really impressed by how firm the hold is on this Hold Fast. I'm going to show you how to open some peas here using the 5-in-1, but it's still quite tricky for me because I've still got to hold the can still, and if you're a one-handed user then that's going to be even more difficult. So I'll put it on the vacuum platform, it will give it a really nice firm hold, and use this 5-in-1 to do the job together. When you have a can which doesn't have a ring pull on it, we've also got this automatic can opener. Press this down and off it goes, round and round, opening the can. Our Nimble is a 1-finger cutting tool. It has a tiny little ceramic blade, fits on your finger, and if you're struggling or it's not very safe for you to use scissors or a knife to open a package, it's perfect for that. Just slices, and then you've got your packet open very easily. For this type of crown cap bottle, we've got our automatic bottle opener. Just place it on top, give it a bit of a whack, and it should grab hold of the cap and take it off, and it's magnetically stuck, so you can just pop it off when you're done. So sometimes the simple solutions are the easiest ones. So we've got a coaster here, which has got a good grip on it for the surface and for the bottom of the jam. And then we've got this jar opener. So just place it over the top. Gives me a nice firm way to hold it. Push down a little bit as I turn it. And that lid is nice and easily off.
Being aware of the tools available to you and your clients to support them in eating and drinking is crucial to support them in leading meaningful daily lives.
Using therapy opportunities to address real life challenges and find ways to adapt successfully improves not just physical and cognitive function, but also mental well-being, self-esteem, social contact and self-identity. Our kitchen tools give the confidence to move from therapy exercises to achieving real tasks of daily living.
Isabel is nearly 8 and loves to help and get involved in the kitchen. This weekend she's been busy making her own sandwiches and helping us put together our Saturday snacky tea to watch Gladiators with. In her words, it's really easy for me to chop and grate food, and it's really useful when I help make dinner. It has taken the worry out of her chopping now that she has something to hold the food in place, especially circular foods as she's a cucumber addict.
Hello, this is a video of my son Harold using the small item gripping aid to eat a forkful of food on the day of delivery. What is really good about this aid is that the gripping device can be mounted on the glove in any direction, excellent for people with limited hand movements. It is very important for Harold to feel that he can feed himself. Thank you for your innovative products.
I'm an occupational therapist and have been looking for a long time for an aid to support a client continue to feed herself. Many different straps and spoons or forks have been tried, but nothing has been successful until the gripping aid was tried. Client has contracted fingers with no active movement, but fingers can be gently opened so he could fit the glove. She was then able to hold her spoon or fork and only required minimal elbow support to get it to her mouth. She, her mum and carers are very happy. Thank you.